I'm going to start it off with basically, I guess it's just AI slop, but it's more of the problems with AI slop. This is the worst AI archaeology video on YouTube. And this is archaeology with Flint Dibble. Guess that's his name. My issue with AI is not so much the fact that people are utilizing it. It's, well, I guess twofold. The slop and trash that comes out and the cost of RAM. That's really it. If it wasn't for those issues, I'd probably be okay with AI. I really would. The fact that people are utilizing it to, well, to not do any work themselves instead of using it as a tool as it should be meant to be used. But yeah, the worst AI archaeology video on YouTube.
Hello everybody, today we're going to take a break from some real archaeology and look at some really crappy AI archaeology. And I mean really crappy AI archaeology. Now, if you've been on the internet at all in like the last few years, you might have realized that AI is friggin' everywhere. And it's mostly just slop. And I mean, the only thing it's really good for is to just kind of mock it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to mock some really shitty AI slop archaeology. We're going to take a look at this video on events in history called Stonehenge. How did ancient people build this AI reconstruction? And I mean, just from like the opening here, you can see that this is slop. So I promise you.
Well, just by the title. I mean, how did it? Nobody knows. It's the, like, what is the AI gonna be? Is it gonna be, you know what? Nobody knows how this was built. But here are 20 AI rendered possibilities of how Stonehenge came to be. I mean, one of them's gonna be aliens. One of them's, I don't know, maybe the gravity is like what's on the moon. There's like no gravity. It was before the atmosphere took place. And I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous that people speculate.
We're not just going to look at some slop. I can't do that. I'm an educator. We're also going to look at some of the real archaeology of Stonehenge at the same time. So we're going to be edutained. Education, entertainment, edutainment.
Yo, Jay.
I'm Flint Dibble. That is the philosophy we have. So let's dive in.
For 5,000 years, this circle of massive stones has stood on Salisbury Plain. But how was it actually built?
How?
And why did
the freaking voice, the freaking AI voice, like the problem is AI is, it just makes, again, there's a way of utilizing it as a tool so someone can help expedite their work a bit. But when it's just random people making random stuff, because people look up those how videos all the time, and you're literally looking up AI slop that probably knows nothing about it.
Historic people invest centuries of labor into creating it.
I wonder if they're going to answer these questions. One of them might be answered a little bit, but the other one...
Today, advanced AI technology allows us to reconstruct what the builders saw. Teams of workers hauling stones, raising pillars, and shaping rock with tools of antler and stone. Join me as we witness Stonehenge's construction unfold across 15 centuries. Long before any stones arrived, this location was already...
Oh my gosh. Not 2. It's 12:48 p.m. here. Yeah. It's 12:20 here. 12:20. Yeah, it's just seeing the video is bad. AI doesn't seem to understand how pulling on rope works, about how, because it's like everyone's in a line like it's a tug of war, and then at the very front, the pulley system goes up. It just goes straight up out of that person's hands.
Sacred. In 8,000.
So, I mean, we can already see the quality here. I mean, just look at this. He's bashing nothing. Look
shaping rock with tools of antler and stone.
They're just breaking up pebbles like some kids at the beach. I mean, what the heck is this?
No, I think what makes this funny is he's bashing the big rock with a hammer, and then he's bashing the rock with a rock. 2 rocks in his hands, just bashing them together.
Rock with tools of antler and stone.
They're just breaking up pebbles like some kids at the beach. I mean, what the heck is this?
Join me as we witness Stonehenge's construction unfold across 15 centuries.
Ooh.
Long before any stones arrived, this location was already sacred. In 8000 BC, Mesolithic hunter-gatherers raised 3 large wooden posts in what is now the Stonehenge car park.
So this is actually true.
These timber pillars, discovered in 1966.
It's been discovered in 1966. No, it was discovered in 1966. Here, wait, let me pull this up. Here's the photo of one of these post holes. You can see that it's cut through the chalk. The soil at Stonehenge is made of this kind of white chalk. And so there's these large post holes. It's a debate over how many. It could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. Were discovered in the excavation of the car park, so the parking lot at Stonehenge. And they've actually have them marked out in the parking lot where they were. Now, these would have just been standing poles. And that's it. We don't really know too much. There's some other artifacts from this early period of about 8,000 years ago, and these would have been put up by hunter-gatherers. So it gives us a sense that this landscape was important way before. We're talking, several thousand years before Stonehenge itself was built, which is kind of cool.
66 marked the spot as spiritually significant thousands of years before construction began. Around 3900 BC.
I think that is fascinating, though. That is fascinating that they've, since the parking lot is over it, they're like, you know what? We found out these historical landmarks after we've paved over them. You know what? Let's just mark them with white cement. Let's mark them with white cement. So that way everyone knows this post was here. But I guess they could kind of figure out how things were moved around. Oh, I don't know how. I don't know how. I'm no mathematician. I couldn't figure it out to this even right now. But it's still fascinating how they could figure out how to move such massive stones back in the day, just like with the pyramids. That's just absolutely fascinating how they figured out how to do those sorts of things without modern day technology. Like for me, yeah, most people, they can do math on how to do things now, but back in the day when you're using pulley systems, if they had pulley systems, ropes, pulleys, levers, that kind of action, it just is insane. It's insane.
Where different cultures gathered. Archaeological evidence reveals the remnants of a feast between hunter-gatherers.
The Feast Evergreen. What does this even mean?
Archaeological evidence reveals the remnants of a feast between hunter-gatherers and farming communities. A rare moment of cultural exchange.
Feast.
So, okay, this is actually, again, largely true. The AI sucks. Like, this AI picture is just terrible. But the script about there being a large feast is somewhat true. It's a large pit near Stonehenge, not at Stonehenge, called the Conybury Anomaly in Wiltshire. And so what's really interesting is, what this pit contains is a lot of pottery, but the bones of a huge feasting event. And what's really cool is, so the Neolithic farmers arrive at this region, something like 4,000
reaction
or
of
so
a reaction.
BCE, and this is like a couple hundred years after that. And so most Neolithic deposits with meat in them, these first farmers have domestic animals, and really domestic animals and not much hunted stuff. But this pit actually contains a significant number of deer in addition to cattle. And at the same time, the chemistry analysis of it seems to show that they're bringing these animals from different regions nearby in the Wiltshire landscape, which is pretty cool. And it looks like it's different groups. We have mostly farmers, but there seems to be a community of hunter-gatherers that seems to have brought deer to this event. So this is kind of some cultural exchange, which is pretty interesting.
The thing is, what I like about this is like his information is more fascinating than the random AI slop that the video's doing. The problem with again, he'd probably be more entertaining if he utilized AI a tad. Like as he's talking, he has a video that's actually rendered properly, not just an instant render where things are just like immediately, oh, you know what? Let's just have AI write the whole thing for me, the entire script, because he has far more information, far more understanding of like how it operated, that him saying it and then maybe having a visual in the background. So that's where AI is used. For someone like him, where he needs an extra visual to guide people. Because you don't want to be pointing at a map going like this, like a professor. No, you would rather have a visual showing the markations and the movement of things.
Now, this AI image on the left looks nothing like the actual pottery that was in this pit. These are the pottery that was in the pit, one of the carinated bowls that was found there. A large number of bulls, a large number of cattle, a large number of deer were all found in here. And so it does seem to be some sort of feast that incorporates hunter-gatherers and farmers, which is pretty interesting and pretty cool that the AI sort of got that right, though. It doesn't mention that it's near Stonehenge rather than at Stonehenge. But
that's why we have historians and human brains much better than AI.
Yeah. Workers armed with picks made from deer antlers dig a circular ditch 110 meters in diameter.
This is not 110 meters here. Jesus Christ. Look at how immense this thing is. This is insane. It's also not quite laid out correctly. Obviously, the undug parts on the interior and the exterior should be at the same elevation if it's a ditch, right?
They pile the excavated chalk to create an inner bank and outer bank.
An inner bark and an outer bonk. What the hell is this? That is
inner
how
bark,
a henge is made,
outer bonk.
Where you dig a ditch down and you pile up the material that you dug out into a bank, which is how you create a henge. And at Stonehenge, there's an inner bank and an outer bank. And we'll look why this AI gets it completely wrong.
With entrances on the northeast and south.
Look at this. This is not what it would have looked like. Hey, where's the ditch? It looks like here they've dug out the entire center area, and that is not how it is. There's an actual ditch. Let me pull up a plan of Stonehenge, and you can see what I mean. So you can see here there's an outer bank, or an outer bark, and an inner bonk, or the inner bank, and there's a ditch between them. And so the sediment that created these banks came from this ditch in between these two banks. And so there's a bank that would be around here and a bank that would be around there to create this kind of impressive feature in what is a relatively flat landscape. And so that's actually what it would have, looked like, if you see what I mean, and not like what they're showing in the video.
This backbreaking work creates the basic enclosure, the foundation for everything that follows. Inside the bank, workers
Look, it's modern construction workers building, digging out these Neolithic holes, these Aubrey holes, which, as Mike Pitts, who, by the way, is the one that turned me on to this AI video, he has a blog post and Twitter thread on it, points out, he actually counted these holes. So there's supposed to be 56 Aubrey holes. This diagram only has 45, including the center hole. Why is it in like a mansion or something like this? What is this?
I mean, the only way I could understand as to why they do it in like a building is to show it to scale, but that's not what's going on here. That's definitely not what's going on here. This is just garbage. This is just garbage.
56 large pits arranged in a perfect circle. These are the Aubrey holes, named after John Aubrey, who first recorded them in the 17th century.
In the 17th century. Yeah, so these are the Aubrey holes. Let's go back to that plan. This is what they would have looked like. So you have your banks and your ditch. Right inside there, you have these 56 holes that are just underneath the turf today. I don't think you can see them today if you go there. And so they would have held something. And so, yeah, we'll get into what they probably would have held in a second. Don't worry. Spoiler alert, it's kind of cool. It's a mystery, and we don't have a good answer, or we have several good answers.
Into these holes, the builders place either upright wooden posts or small stones.
Okay. Yes, one of the ideas about what could be in these Aubrey holes is that they might have placed upright wooden posts, and not a little one like they showed there, but a large friggin' standing column, okay? Or the other idea, which is the one that's currently in favor because of Mike Parker Pearson's research, which we'll get into why in a little bit, they probably held the megalithic bluestones, the famous bluestones from Wales, in these Aubrey holes. And we'll get into why in just a second, but that certainly seems to be the most likely explanation for it.
Who
Aubrey
first
holes.
recorded them in the 17th century. Into these holes, the builders place either upright wooden posts or small stones.
No, no
The
small
purpose is
stones.
clear.
They would have probably
This is
been like
cremation
massive trees.
I love how it's like they place either tiny wooden pillars or tiny stones in.
Do I need to say anything here? Do I need to say anything here? Does everyone know what I'm looking at? Do I need to say anything? It's I don't think I even need to say anything. AI knows that India built Stonehenge. AI knows it. AI knows it. Well, what is the tribe that moved up from India towards like the Europe? The gypsies. The gypsies. What was that tribe? That's that's called biased AI training data. So he generated what he was taught. I mean, I don't know. I just think I wasn't even paying attention, and I pause it and I look at him just like, wait a minute. That doesn't seem right. Who knows?
There. And the purpose is clear. It's a cremation cemetery. Now, that is true. It is a cremation cemetery, but they just don't know how to explain it because it's some stupid AI. So let's go back here. There are a number of burials. These are the red dots from this article, The Dead at Stonehenge by Willis et al. And there's a number of red burials that have been found. And many of them are actually in these Aubrey holes or in the ditch, which is kind of interesting. Now, when these were excavated by Hawley in the early 20th century, they were not interested in skeletal remains in so early. They were interested in stones at Stonehenge. And the dead individuals that were buried were not studied, and they were all dumped somewhat ceremoniously, I guess, into Aubrey Hole 7, which is right here. So there were, I think, 56 of them, if I'm remembering right, that were dumped into Aubrey Hole 7. And so Mike Parker Pearson and his team in the early 2000s went and re-excavated some of these Aubrey holes, including Aubrey Hole 7, in order to study the remains. And so there's several interesting conclusions that can be drawn from this. For one, because of radiocarbon dating of different burials that were excavated, we can tell that the earlier phase has burials either in or adjacent to these Aubrey holes. So you can imagine that the hole itself held a large stone pillar or possibly wooden pillar, and at times next to them there was a cremation burial. However, the later burials all end up in the ditch. So what this seems to suggest is that individuals early on might have been associated with individual pillars. And then later on, everybody was buried communally in the ditch. So it's sort of a change in social hierarchy, possibly. This is a photo of some of the cremated remains inside Aubrey Hole 7. So this is what gives us a sense of how these burials worked, we have the bones from the burials, which is pretty cool. And yes, Stonehenge was used as a burial site for more than 500 years, to be honest. But yeah.
Next 500 years, at least 240 individuals, men, women, and children, are cremated, and their remains carefully buried in and around the Aubrey holes. Stonehenge begins as a place of the dead.
Honestly, it was probably the burial site for the hunter, if there were multiple hunter-gatherer tribes, maybe for the most honored and respected, most revered, maybe the chieftains, maybe those who were powerful warriors, those who were their remains were brought back in order to bring the spirits and hope they would be blessed back into the tribe. You know, that kind of thing. You never know. You never truly know, but it's always fascinating to speculate this kind of stuff.
Around 2500 BC,
What is this? What is this? Why is there is it a pyramid? I can't even tell, which it's a little too early for pyramids, but I don't know what this is.
something extraordinary happens. A group of people arrives from Wales, and they bring their stones with them. These aren't just any stones. They're bluestones from the Preseli Hills in southwest Wales, over 140 miles away. Each bluestone weighs up to 4 tons.
Okay, so there's these bluestones that show up, and there's a big debate as to when. So we have these early circles. This is the Q and R holes, which is what they're dating this to, about 2500 BCE. That's when these Q and R holes date to. Now, when the bluestones actually arrive is something that seems to be in flux. So the reason why is the discovery of the quarry. So chemical fingerprinting of the stones to get their geochemistry have matched them to this site in Wales, in Pembrokeshire, Preseli Hills. So we got that right. This is the quarry which has been discovered by Mike Parker Pearson and others, and that these stones originated from. And so they likely would have been taken quite far. Most experiments seem to suggest overland is more likely. We'll get into how these stones were moved in a little bit. So they seem to have been taken overland or possibly oversea all the way to Stonehenge. These stones weigh about 4 to 5 tons at the largest.
Represents one of prehistory's most ambitious engineering projects. Recent discoveries by archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson solved the mystery of why they brought these specific stones.
Now, this is not Mike Parker Pearson. It looks nothing like him. I know Mike Parker Pearson from my time at Sheffield, where he instructed me. This is Mike Parker Pearson. So where did that guy in the video come from? He looks a lot like Dan Snow, who has done a documentary, Dan Snow of History Hit, who has done a documentary on Stonehenge. Like, let's compare.
In the Preseli Hills, Parker porting them represents one of prehistory's most ambitious engineering projects. Recent discoveries by archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson solved the mystery of why they brought these
This is
specific
definitely
stones.
Dan Snow.
In the Preseli Hills stands the remains of Worn Morn,
Okay.
a dismantled stone circle that matches Stonehenge's original diameter exactly. One of the bluestones at Stonehenge has a distinctive pentagonal shape, and the empty socket at Worn Morn matches it perfectly. A chip of stone left behind during dismantling fits into this very stone at Stonehenge. The evidence is conclusive.
All right, so some of this is right, some of this isn't. So there is a site that Mike Parker Pearson and his team have identified as the original Stonehenge. It is a dismantled stone circle near the Preseli Hills in West Wales, and it actually has a very comparable alignment to those Aubrey holes, right? That early sort of step of construction. And so this is why they actually think that the bluestones were brought really early, like something like 2900 BCE, and put in those Aubrey holes that we talked about with the burials. Now, what it gets correct is that one of the stones at Stonehenge, you can see this in the upper right, and this is the overhead of it, it has a pentagonal cross section. And there's a pentagonal hole for a stone at Stonehenge that seems to match this one. And there's a chip of stone that was found at this site at Monwan near Preseli Hills that seems to have come from this stone at Stonehenge. And it's not because it fits in as it shows there. That is wrong. It's because of the geochemistry of this stone compared to the geochemistry.
If it's thousands of, each one of them would have eroded at a different rate. Let's be honest, they would. A bigger piece to a little piece. I mean, I don't know the exact mathematics to it. The erosion, the weather, the sun, how often it rains, how moist it is in certain areas. That all affects the decay of, or the erosion of a stone. So there's no way they'd be able to get a stone that's a couple thousand years old and match it in to a piece that it was attached to several thousand years after. There's no way you get a one-to-one, but you can date them. You can sample them and actually get like the well, not so much the sediment off it, but like inside. You can get the more of a analysis from inside
of this chip. It has nothing to do with fitting in like a puzzle piece. The fit seems to be between this stone and then the cross section of this pit. Okay, so let's get things right rather than AI slop right.
These people didn't just bring stones. They brought their entire sacred monument with them when they migrated.
What is this image? Who are these people? Is this supposed to be Stonehenge? What is this?
But how did they move 4-ton boulders 140 miles? This is where AI reconstruction helps us visualize the process.
Oh yeah, this visualization. It's real key. Look at this. They moved the stones from Egypt and the pyramids all the way to Stonehenge.
Teams of workers, perhaps 90 to 200 people per stone.
It looks like 4 people dragging. How do you drag it from behind? These guys behind are somehow dragging it.
The guy in front is the only one doing everything.
They have one dude dragging this stone that surely weighs several tons.
Use wooden sledges placed on greased timber tracks. They pull with thick ropes made from plant fibers. Experiments suggest they could move stones about 10 miles per day. The journey takes roughly 2 weeks of coordinated effort. At rivers, they may have used wicker basket cradles as flotation devices, floating the stones downstream.
They're floating them upstream. Look at the
When
stream.
terrain becomes rough, workers use wooden rollers underneath the sledges, constantly moving them from back to front as the stone inches forward.
Okay, so nobody actually thinks they use wooden rollers anymore. That is an outdated idea. Instead, this does get it right. It seems to be on sledges. So this is an experiment done in, I think, 1996 by Julian Richards and others for a BBC program, where they actually pulled the equivalent of the largest stone at Stonehenge, 40 tons. And they pulled it uphill, downhill, and on level surfaces. And so this is actually a really, really neat experiment. There's been more recent experiments, but yeah, it seems like not on rollers, but these wooden things that are going crosswise, they act as kind of like a slipway, a rail through which these sledges can be pulled upon. And these rails can be then greased with animal fat. And there's some evidence that they did that. There's studies of animal fats and lipids at Stonehenge and elsewhere that suggest that. And so it's actually that they could pull them up to not 10 miles a day, but up to 10 kilometers a day. Though, of course, this is with the 40-ton sarsen stone. So possibly less people and further movement could be achieved with the bluestone. That said, if you're going uphill on a 1 in 20 slope, they could not make it further than 1 kilometer in a day. And as they mentioned in this experiment, 50 kilos of grease were used for a day of pulling. But it was effective. They were able to demonstrate that it is very plausible to move a 40-ton stone as long as you prepare the surface upon which it is dragged in advance and you have grease to grease it up. So there's no reason to think that this could not happen. Yeah.
This isn't the work of slaves.
What is this? What is this? What is this random AI stuff? It's so nuts.
Sacred pilgrimage. Every person hauling these ropes believes they're bringing their ancestors'
I think this AI has gone all woke, right? This is like an international production here.
holy site to a new home. Once at Salisbury Plain, workers arranged the blue
Yeah, it wasn't Europe that, or it wasn't the British that, well, I guess it wouldn't even be Britain. It wasn't the hunter-gatherers of that small, isolated region. No, it was the entire world that came together to build Stonehenge. It was the entire world. I mean, you can understand something like that now with how easy it is to travel around the world, but back in the day, no, absolutely not.
stones in a double arc formation
What's holding it in the air? Where's the crane? Where's the crane?
known as the Q and R holes.
Yeah, I showed those.
They're not yet in their final position. This is just the first phase. The stones are aligned with astronomical phenomena, just as they were in Wales. The sunrise on the summer solstice perfectly frames through the stone arrangement.
Yes, so this is where it seems to match what's going on at Pressley in Wales, with what's going on in early Stonehenge, even with those Aubrey holes, and with these Q and R holes from 2500 BC. All of these line up well with the solstices and the sunrise and sunset on these different solstices, both summer and winter.
This alignment isn't accidental. It's deliberate, calculated, and precisely executed. Around the same time the bluestones arrive, local communities begin an even more ambitious project: the construction of the Sarsen
They're
Stone
moving a
Circle
mountain.
and
Now, the Sarsen stones are much larger, but they're not that large. They're
Yeah,
just the
they're
largest
moving a
stones at
mountain.
Stonehenge, okay? This is like AI exaggeration out the wazoo.
triplethons that define Stonehenge today. The Sarsen stones dwarf the bluestones.
The Sarsen stones doard, the blue stones. The Sarsen stones thick, the blue stones. Yeah, I love
Whoa,
that thick.
that's
Each weighs 20 to 25 tons, the
VVV.
equivalent of 5 male elephants.
I don't know how much a male elephant weighs, but they weighed, the largest actually weighs as much as 36 British tons. So no, not 25, 36, and like I said, up to 40 if you're thinking in terms of US tons.
The tallest stands 9 meters high, with a third of that buried underground for stability. These monsters come from the Marlborough
horse!
Downs,
I love the spelling changes. And look at it, the Marlborough Downs have some wind farms in the background.
20 miles north.
Those Neolithic, look, oh guys, this is proof Stonehenge was used for electricity. Holy shit, look, it's a wind farm that then plugs into the stone circle. Ooh. Archaeologists on record, Stonehenge used for generating electricity. Come on, hands down, this AI has proven it.
Moving them requires hundreds of workers. Imagine the scene. Teams of 500 to 1,000 people hauling on thick ropes, pulling a 25-ton
They're
stone on
pulling
a massive wooden
against
sledge.
each other. It's a
These
tug
guys
of
did a
war.
terrible job of reconstructing this.
The sledge sits on timber tracks greased with animal fat. The noise is overwhelming.
China needs the help.
Rhythmic chanting to synchronize pulling. The grinding creak of wood under impossible weight. Children and elderly watching the
Look at them, they're
In
gathering.
Mexico.
It's a family, they're gathering. He's wearing a t-shirt. It's like a soccer shirt. It even almost looks like Adidas. Who knew that Stonehenge people had Adidas?
This is a community event spanning generations.
It's like
When a stone reaches the construction site, the real engineering challenge begins.
yes, this is how they erected Stonehenge. This
The thing is, how does somebody not watch their own video? You're doing no work yourself. You're doing no work yourself. You're putting in an AI prompt. It's doing the dialogue. It's writing the script for you. It's doing the visualizations for you. How do you not have 5 minutes to sit through the entire thing and be like, you know what? Maybe I should tell AI to make it specifically to this time period. You know what? Maybe I should tell AI to make it specifically to this region. You know what? Maybe I should tell AI to... You are doing nothing with the AI. Absolutely nothing but putting in a prompt. The least you could do is double check the work. Double check the work. Because the thing is, AI doesn't know everything. The problem is AI is based off of the data banks it has received off of platforms like Facebook, off of platforms like Instagram, off of platforms like it knows all its information from those platforms. So if there's something that's misleading or a conspiracy theory in those platforms, guess what? AI will not know the difference. It will not know the difference. It will just use the algorithm it has to plan out the video for you, whether it is real information or not. It's your job as the person putting in the prompt to do the research to make sure that the information and visuals coming out match the actual source.
Just look at these guys. They got hard hats. They got cranes. This is an
Levi,
engineering
these channels
site,
are
all right?
not for making, not for knowledge, but for making money. The owner doesn't care about the content or information. Yeah, and that's the thing. These things should be outright. There should be a report done on channels that are either blatantly misinformative or outright lying. There should be like there should at least be a notification thing where you notify YouTube or whatever platform that this is AI misinformation. This is AI false images. This is AI, like, you know, things like that. I think that would be beneficial, so that way they don't get money for the trash. Or if they are receiving money and they lie about what it is, they should get fined. Or any other money that, or they should get demonetized entirely and completely blacklisted. I think that's how they do it, because this is just bad. This is just bad.
This is how they did it. I think this is how. I mean, they had wind farms, so why not this?
Workers dig a large hole with one sloping side. The back of the hole is lined with wooden stakes to prevent the stone from toppling backward. Plant fiber ropes, some as thick as a man's arm, are attached to the top of the stone. Hundreds of people pull on these ropes, while others use wooden levers to tip the stone upward.
I don't think those levers
The
are
most
doing
likely
anything.
method, suggested by experiments on Easter Island, involves repeatedly rocking the
So they have to go to Africa now. The entire world assisted in Stonehenge. The entire world.
stone from side to side with levers, each time placing small
Wait,
stones
those are from Easter Island. Those are from Easter Island.
underneath the lifted edge. Slowly, incrementally, the
Okay. So where could that Easter Island thing have come from? It's not anything to do with this. This is what I think it comes from, how they moved the moai on Easter Island. Let's check this out. Rocking it back and forth. This is how the moai moved. They walked. Notice the chanting, right? So it's somehow mixing these things up. So how were these stones actually lifted? Let's look into this. So this is, again, back from that experiment that Julian Richards did in 1996 for the BBC. And what they would do is dig a slanted hole. There's no wooden stakes, but it would be slanted on one side and straight on the other. And you'd slowly tilt the stone in until it goes over this pivot point and drops into the hole, right? So how do you actually accomplish that? Well, you put some stones on top of the stone that you're moving. You drag it in slowly,
place,
and then you move the stones further along until they help tilt it down at that pivot point until it's resting inside the hole. And then what you do is you use a lever, an A-frame it's called, to be able to pull the stone upright. And so you could use a ramp with some stone on it to be able to act as a counterweight until you're able to pull it upright. And they were able to do this using all this traditional technology in 1996 with a 40-ton equivalent of the largest sarsen stone. So we know that it is doable. Yeah.
massive megalith rises from horizontal to vertical. It's dangerous work. One slip could crush men beneath 25 tons of stone.
And notice it would have looked nothing like this. This AI visualization is crap. We have real video footage of people doing this on the BBC.
Yeah.
When the stone finally stands upright, workers pack the hole tight with
Is he
rubble and
using
chalk,
a shovel
creating
hammer?
a foundation that will last millennia.
No,
But the
sorry.
most
She was using a shovel hammer. Look at it. Look at it. It's a shovel hammer. It's a shovel hammer.
the hole tight with rubble and chalk, creating a foundation that will last millennia. But the most impressive feat is yet to come, raising the horizontal lintels. Each lintel weighs 7 to 8 tons and must be lifted 4 meters into the air to rest atop the upright
Are
stones.
they
Workers
getting
build
pulled
timber
up?
platforms, massive temporary scaffolding rising beside each stone.
That's the
Using levers,
person at the top of the scaffolding too.
All right, so no, they did not use cranes. So there's two proposed ways for how they raised the stones. One is something that they sort of alluded.
This is the sad part. This is the sad part. We have people already reenacting it. We've had people already kind of do the research and math as to how, and they've done like a practical experiments and to show people and prove that this is probably the most accurate rendition as to how it happened. We literally already have all of that. Yet for some reason, someone doesn't even bother to learn all that to have AI assist them in recreating those movements. No, they just put in a random prompt, and expect AI to know. They expect AI to know the difference.
To earlier in the AI thing about Easter Island, it made no sense, and that's called cribbing. And that's where you can use a lever like this on one end of the thing to lift it up, and then you slot in some wooden beams underneath it. Then you use the lever on the second end to lift that up, and you slot in some more wooden beams, then you build that level. It's called cribbing, and you build it one level at a time. It's very, very slow. So that's one possibility, and this method has been used at Stonehenge, right here, as you can see. It's been used as an example to lift the equivalent weight of the granite block in the King's Chamber at the Great Pyramid. It's a very effective method that has been tried and true in a variety of different contexts. Another possibility is that they used a ramp to be able to move this stone, the lintel up. They build an earth ramp, they pull it up, and then they rest the lintel on the top. And in this case, it's just like dragging it as usual, but they're using an A-frame here, like they could have used to raise the stone itself to be able to pull it up. It's just a form of a lever, is really what the A-frame is. You have the lever on top here, so you're getting the impact of a lever from a distance, if that makes sense. So let's see what they show here.
They incrementally raise the lintel onto higher platforms, like
like a
staircase to the sky.
Just by their
on top
hands.
here, and it's not like a staircase to the sky, it's like a ramp.
Once at the correct height, they slide the lintel into position. The engineering precision is astonishing. The uprights have protruding tenons carved on top, wooden joinery techniques applied to stone. The lintels have corresponding mortise holes carved into their undersides. When the lintel settles into place, the tenon fits into the mortise.
Yes, this is, so here's what the mortise and tenon joint looks like. It's this protruding knob here, okay? And then there's a corresponding hole on some stones that it would have slotted in to lock in place an upright stone and the standing lintel so that it's locked in with this joint. There's another kind of joint called the tongue and groove joints that are also visible on the Stonehenge, and that's what you're seeing here with this tongue and this groove to slide in. The horizontal ones that are next to one another, adjacent to one another, would have been joined in that kind of fashion. It looks nothing like what they're showing in this video.
Stones together.
No.
Adjacent lintels connect using tongue and groove joints, again borrowing from woodworking traditions.
Now that is true. These are woodworking joints, and so it's presumed that kind of wooden henges elsewhere would have used similar methods. These seem to have been borrowed from woodworking, both of these joints, the mortise and tenon and the tongue and groove.
This isn't primitive. It's sophisticated engineering requiring
Space
mathematical
age.
precision and intimate knowledge of materials.
Now, I don't want to like shit on Stone Age people. Stone Age people were clever, sophisticated, and smart, but they didn't have space age technology like these dudes here. I don't know what else to say.
Shaping these massive
What's rocks with rocks? No, they had space age technology. There was the aliens that built Stonehenge. We all know that. We all know this. It was the aliens. Aliens built Stonehenge.
stones is equally impressive. Workers use sarsen hammerstones, smaller pieces of sarsen stone, to pound the surface of the megaliths for hundreds of hours. Large quantities of sarsen chips and broken hammerstones have been found in the field north of Stonehenge.
This is true. Here's a photo of some of them at the Salisbury Museum.
Most of stonemasons work in shifts, hammering, chiseling,
Oh,
smoothing.
yeah,
The surfaces we see
So
today.
I know the only thing there that makes sense to me is the scraping of the stone to try and soften it, because you're scraping stone against stone and eventually they'll peel
As rough and weathered,
layers
were
away.
once dressed
Anything
smooth,
like that.
their shapes carefully crafted. Between
Why is there so much classical antiquity and other cultures in this?
2470 and 2280 BC, workers build the avenue, a ceremonial pathway leading from the Henge to the River Avon, nearly 2 miles away. The avenue is aligned with the summer solstice sunrise and winter solstice sunset. On the longest day of the year, someone standing at the center of Stonehenge would see the sun rise perfectly between the two tallest stones. On the shortest day, the sunset aligns through the same gap.
So this is true. So if you look here, this is Stonehenge, the banks and the ditches, the banks and the ditch, I should say, and the different holes, and then the features in the middle. This is the avenue. And so the sun rises looking out this way, perfect alignment on the summer solstice, so June 21st. And it sets on the winter solstice down here, so it makes a perfect alignment in that sort of sense. And so this has been well documented. This kind of alignment and archaeoastronomy at Stonehenge works perfectly, as well as at a number of other sites in the British Neolithic period. In fact, just announced a couple days ago, a discovery by Phil Harding of Time Team. This has not been published, so there's not a lot of detail, but there's a prototype for Stonehenge right in the local landscape that was discovered. And so what there are is there's two post holes positioned at a distance from another, and they line up perfectly with this same exact alignment to the solstices, and the sun rising on the summer solstice and the sun
So they
setting on the
planned
winter
it out.
solstice. And it's like a perfect alignment from 5,000 years ago. So it's certainly like a prototype Stonehenge, similar maybe to that site of Monwan in the Presley Hills where the bluestones came from, right? So this is a phenomenon that seems to be common throughout. So this is some cool new news, and we'll see more of this later, I imagine, as they work to publish this.
Astronomical precision reveals sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics.
No
The
plan.
builders track the sun's movement over years, identifying the exact points where it rises and sets on the solstices.
There are no carvings like this at Stonehenge, I promise you.
They then align the entire monument to these cosmic events. Some scholars argue Stonehenge functions as a solar calendar. The 30 sarsen uprights might represent a 30-day month. Certain stones could mark the start of 10-day weeks.
Now, this is actually something that people have argued, so it's real. But I just want to comment on the 56 Aubrey holes. Why is there like a 71 here and like a 40-something and like a... It's like, what is this? There's 56 of them, guys. Get your story straight.
The 56 Aubrey holes might track lunar cycles. Around the time the sarsen stones are erected, another massive construction project begins 2 miles away at Durrington Walls. Workers build a huge timber circle aligned with the winter solstice sunrise, opposite to Stonehenge's alignment. Archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson speculates this represents the land of the living, while Stonehenge is the land of the dead.
He has said stuff like that, so that's true.
The River Avon connects the two, serving as a processional route between life and death. Evidence of massive feasts has been found at Durrington Walls. Pig bones showing
So as Mike Pitts pointed out, one second, let's get back
evidence
to that.
of massive feasts has been found at Durrington Wall.
As Mike Pitts pointed out in his critique of this video, this joints of meat would quickly spoil if they're this distance from the fire, but you know. So these feasts are actually quite interesting. So here's an image of Durrington Walls and LiDAR. I have several colleagues that have worked on this project, including the wonderful Richard Madwick, who is my sponsor here at Cardiff University for my Marie Curie project. And he has published, for example, the geochemistry, the organic chemistry, I should say, in the teeth of these animals found at Durrington Walls. And so what's really interesting is that these animals came from all over the island of Britain, from Wales and even as far away as Scotland. So these feasts that happened right near Stonehenge at Durrington Walls, they drew in people from all over Britain so that everybody brought some animals, everybody chowed down and feasted, and this is just kind of cool. It's a cool discovery. I expect to cover this more, maybe do an interview with Rich, because he's one of my good friends and colleagues here in Cardiff.
Pig bones showing thousands of animals slaughtered and cooked for huge gatherings. The people come together on the solstices, processing from the timber circle, life, along the avenue to Stonehenge, death, celebrating the turning of the year and honoring their ancestors. Around 1600 BC, the last major construction occurs, the Y and Z holes, 2 rings of pits that are dug but never filled with stones.
Oh, this
After
giant
this,
holes.
Stonehenge's active use declined.
These holes are much smaller. Here, wait, let me go find the plan. Here you go. So look, these Y and Z holes are much smaller than that giant thing that they showed, but whatever.
The Bronze Age gives way to the Iron Age.
As
New
it
religions
does.
and monuments capture attention. Stonehenge becomes a ruin, its purpose forgotten, its builders unknown. Romans visit and leave pottery. Medieval people.
Now, they didn't just visit and leave pottery. They actually buried their dead at Stonehenge in some cases in nearby, and there's a large feasting pit that was excavated in 2008 filled with Roman pottery. So they actually performed actual rituals at the site. So it's not like it was some relic of, I mean, it was a relic of the past to the Romans, but it was more than that. It was an active landscape. There's also evidence of quarrying away from the stones for use in other buildings elsewhere. So this was an active landscape in the Roman period.
The work of giants or wizards. In 1620,
So yes, of course, the medieval people did sort of believe this. Here, for example, is a 14th century manuscript showing Merlin at Stonehenge by Geoffrey Monmouth. So, you know, they're explained by Geoffrey Monmouth, and this was widely accepted until the 16th century when we see this.
first orders architect Inigo Jones to investigate. Jones concludes it's a Roman temple. He's wrong, but it sparks centuries of speculation.
Yeah, so he basically thought that it was too perfect of a monument to be prehistoric, so it must be Roman. It was his logic, and he actually put in extra trilithons, these stone uprights with the lintel, to make it more symmetrical than it actually was. So he had to invent stuff to make his idea work, which is why it's been disproven. Of course, we have radiocarbon dates and otherwise now that securely disprove it.
In the 1800s, serious archaeology begins.
He's
John
not
Lubbock's
using the brush
excavations
right.
in 1862 discover cremated human remains.
That is completely wrong. John Lubbock never excavated at Stonehenge. He was the one that set up the first conservation plan, however, and he set up the site management plan in the 19th century to kind of start the process of restoring it and set it up for excavations. It was actually Hawley, whose first name I'm blanking on, was the one who excavated those cremated remains.
So the stones are very ancient stones. You have a very modern day cat, maybe from 1980s to 2000s, cat crane. But you have the workers dressed like in the 1940s skyscraper builders. Like, this is so out of date. I think it's because it's getting confused by the dates on the board, like the dates that are written. So it's confusing how the AI is so confused on what it's supposed to do.
Revealing the Bronze Age date. In the 1900s, multiple restoration projects re-erected fallen stones and set them in concrete.
Hey, look, they re-erected Stonehenge to look like the Parthenon. Now, this is true. They did re-erect it using modern methods because these stones had fallen over the years. And we know that it was not built for the first time in the 1919 when they used modern methods to do this because, well, we have drawings of these, like this one from 1574, that shows what it looked like before it started degrading so badly. So archaeologists knew how to reassemble it because they had documentary evidence of what it looked like centuries earlier, okay?
Some criticize this as destroying authenticity, but
No.
without intervention, Stonehenge would have continued collapsing.
Yes.
Today, 2.5 million
Wait, don't you mean 2.5 million?
people visit Stonehenge annually. On the summer solstice, thousands gather to watch the sunrise, continuing a tradition
Stonehenge is too
4,500
big.
years old. Modern Druids hold ceremonies, though their connection to the builders is romantic fiction rather than historical fact. If you are interested in more history
All right, we made
videos,
it.
subscribe to the channel.
That is just
I
bad.
want to thank Mike Pitts for drawing my attention to this. We cited some of his scholarship in this as well, because this is just the silliest AI video I have ever seen in my life. And I think given that how AI slop is flooding the world, we actually need to recognize and mock it because it is ridiculous. And instead, we should learn a little bit about the actual archaeology of Stonehenge. I hope you were entertained. I hope you were educated. Peace out, all love and archaeology to y'all.
I gotta say that is actually very tragic to see something like that, and the fact that people will go to that. People who are writing reports, people who are doing research will go to that instead of actually doing the research because this day and age, people ask AI for everything. Why is the education system in the United States of America, why do we have nothing but retards like myself continuing to pass high school? Why? AI. They just put in a prompt and it gives them the answers and then boom, you've got someone with a degree that knows absolutely nothing about nothing. All they know is they have a question, they put it in AI, that's their answer. Whether it's right or not, they have no critical thinking whatsoever for themselves, no way of doing research whatsoever for themselves because AI said it, so therefore it must be true. Because AI told me, therefore it must be true. That's the issue we're running into right now, especially in the United States of America, where AI is so heavily relied upon that it is insane, absolutely insane that we're getting nothing but more retards pumped out of the education system. Well, I guess we need more people out there flipping burgers. We need more people out there cleaning toilets. We really do need more of those out there. So good on them. Good on them. But the problem is they think they're highly educated. I think that's the real downside of AI. These absolute retards think they're highly educated when they're not. All they know how to do is put prompt in computer. Computer tells answer, copy answer, move it somewhere else. Therefore, my work is done. When that's not the case. AI is a tool that should be utilized to assist you in what you do. But first of all, you need to know what you're doing before you even utilize it. Like I can understand an editor trying to utilize AI to help cut out like the dead spots in a video. I could understand an animator creating like the 3D imagery of something, but having AI move the models for them. I can understand, like, there are little bits and pieces where a writer gets in a writer's block and has AI kind of come up with different ways to get past this writer's block. There are multiple avenues for AI, a programmer that needs assistance with writing a bit of code. Like, there are so many places where AI is useful as a tool, but it's this slop that keeps coming out that just destroys it for everybody. It destroys it for everybody. So there are those people who are just outright against it. Outright against it. It's just like the whole thing with like nuclear energy, because there are so many people that don't understand what nuclear energy is. Anytime they hear the word nuclear, they think Nagasaki, they think Hiroshima, they think just war. They don't think, oh, this is a clean, constant source of energy. They don't think that. They don't think that. Their minds go somewhere else. But that's the thing. It's just like these people know nothing. These people absolutely know nothing. We need people who actually have critical thinking, are able to think for themselves, know that AI is nothing but a tool and not the end-all, be-all of everything, because it will never be able to take all of mankind's jobs. It just won't. Because guess what? It isn't really intelligent. It only knows what is put into the prompt. It only knows what it has been given as a farm for its brain. which is, guess what? People on Facebook, people on leaving comments on YouTube, people putting questions in Google, people like that's its brain. That's its brain. It's not actually smart enough to figure out how to take over the world. We're not going to get a Matrix. We're not going to get a crap. What's the old movie from 1980s? But yeah, War Games. Yeah, we're not going to get a War Games. We're not going to get a Eagle Eye. Was it Eagle Eye? Yeah, I think it was Eagle Eye. We're not going to get one of those. No, because it's a tool. It's just like a hammer. It's just like a saw. It's just like a firearm. It's just like a knife. It's just like a skillet for like cooking. It's just like a grill. It's just like a car. It's a tool that can't operate without someone actually utilizing it. Oh well. Oh well. That was the AI slop. That was the AI slop. Love it and hate it. Love it and hate it.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait like that.